Hey everybody, welcome to the Collecting the King show. This is episode 10, and this episode is called Elvis on Tour. I know normally I do an Elvis song title, but with all the stuff that we're doing today and the stuff I'm about to show you, Elvis on Tour, we're going to take a movie title for a change of pace here and go with that for obvious reasons, and you'll see why. What we're going to talk about today for this 10th episode, I wanted to explore the many tour items that were sold as souvenirs at Elvis's many concerts during his career. Elvis went back on the road in 1970, starting out in Houston, Texas, where he performed to audiences of just over 200,000 fans in 6 shows. This was right after his triumphant return to the stage at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. But his first real tour began on September 9th through the 14th in 1970, where he did 8 concerts in cities like Tampa, where he performed 2 daily shows, selling out each and every one. Now, over the course of his career, Elvis performed 1,684 concerts, but never played for a bigger audience than on New Year's Eve in 1976, when more than 60,000 fans packed the Pontiac Silverdome. I saw him when he was here in 1972. I saw him in 76, and I saw him in 77. When I went to the shows, one of the cool things about going there was you get there and there were souvenir stands set up just inside the Chicago Stadium. And the first thing I did right away was ran to the souvenir stand to see what kind of cool things they had. And boy, they had some fantastic stuff, and some of that stuff I'm going to show you today. Elvis toured with Scotty and Bill in the 50s before he was drafted into the Army. There were many items sold as souvenirs back then, including tour books and some 8x10 black and white photos that Elvis fans, mostly girls, would beg for him to sign. Both of these early photos were concert souvenirs during Elvis's earliest concert appearances for Sun Records. I was very fortunate to have one of each of those photos, especially the one with the bow tie. And I had gotten it, I believe, from a woman in Louisiana. It was a fantastic picture where Elvis had signed, actually the back of the photo. But nonetheless, very, very cool piece of memorabilia, the earliest piece of memorabilia I ever had gotten. All right, the first thing here, this is an example of a tour book. This is right after Elvis signed with RCA. I think 1956, although I don't see a date on there, but I'm pretty sure that's around the time. I don't know if you want to call them tours. They were kind of more of just live appearances, whereas in the 70s, Elvis did, scheduled tours of many cities, matinees and evening performances, whereas these were just appearances. This was a very popular tour book at the time that you would see an old footage of Elvis at these appearances where girls were bringing this up and he was signing the book. It says copyright 1956. Okay, so that's an example of one of the earliest tour books, okay? Then we have a picture. This is a much fancier type of photo than just the regular picture, black and white picture. This was something I think came directly from the Colonel or through a fan club or something like that. But you'll notice if you look at some of the early live appearances footage from the 50s, you'll see this photo around where girls were actually using it to have him sign them, or they were just being passed out at the concerts. This photo came 2 ways, I believe. This is a blue one, and then with the blue border, and then there's one with a pink border. Again, this is from the 50s, Elvis in his famous gold lame suit. Of course, this is also the photo they used for Elvis's Golden Records Volume 2. This is not a reproduction, by the way, folks. This is the original picture. All these items are from Al Dvorin's personal inventory of authentic Elvis Presley concert souvenirs. Now, as I said, I saw Elvis 3 times in the 70s, and I remember many of these items I'm about to show you. So let's kind of go through this stuff. One of the very first tour books was this one here. Ironically, this was also a book that was used as a bonus item inside 50 Worldwide Gold Award hits. So this book came as a bonus item inside that box set. So it's odd because it came a few ways. Like if you'll notice down here in the corner, It says exclusively on RCA Records. Okay, then there's another one. I think that is different from this one, where this part RCA Victor is gone and it just says tour photo album. Now I don't have I don't have one of those to show you. Okay, but here's something very interesting. After Elvis left Las Vegas and went on tour, okay, as I mentioned at the Houston Astrodome, this book came into play, which is the same book, but if you look carefully, you'll notice that it says $1 on it. It's just, they added this $1. Now, for a long time, I didn't know where this came from, and we weren't really sure why did it have $1 on it, because all the other ones didn't. The ones that were in Las Vegas, for example, or were used for tour books, didn't really have a price on them, but this one did. I found out much later, looking at a program for the Astrodome, this book here was sold exclusively at the Houston Astrodome, and it was $1. Now, does that mean it was sold at other concerts after that? It might have been, but one thing is for sure, it didn't last long. These are very hard to find, and value-wise are definitely more valuable than the other books, okay? The tour album one is probably the next one that's probably more valuable than the first, and then this one is the most out of the three. Another book that ironically was also found in the worldwide 50 Worldwide Gold Award Hits box set, and that was this one. Now, again, this one here was kind of put in later editions of that box. I remember getting that box set a couple times. Once when it was the very first time it was released. So I remember the first booklet I just showed you, the gold one, being in that one. Then I remember later on finding another copy of the Gold Award box set, and it had this book in it, which I thought was kind of odd. But anyway, whatever the case might be, that was a book that was made, again, especially for the box set, okay? I can't remember if it actually said Souvenir Photo Album. So some of you viewers, if you're watching, if you know there's a distinction in that book, let me know. But this one here in particular was definitely sold at concerts. I remember because I bought mine in 1972 in Chicago. Again, these are pretty cool tour books that, just to give you an example of some of the pictures, some great pictures of Elvis inside. Oh, there's some color ones too. What do you know? Color ones as well. Really great stuff. So this is the second, I think, official tour book of the 70s when it came out. I have another one for you here, which is very well known. Because this concert book, I remember getting this book in 76 and 77 in Chicago when I saw Elvis. And I got it twice because the first one, I can't remember if I threw it away or it got lost or whatever the case, but I ended up buying another one in 77. But here is the third and probably one of the cooler books, I think, out of the set as far as the tour books go. I remember being at the Graceland auction in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand Hotel. And this suit, I believe, was in the auction. Wasn't it Sharif who bought it? Carol, do you remember?
I don't remember.
Or was it that one guy who owned the Elvis Museum? I can't remember. It's Chris?
Chris, it could have been,
Yeah, I can't remember who ended up with this thing, but somebody from that auction actually ended up with this jumpsuit. And that's where I finally saw the suit. Take a look at some photos here inside. Ooh, I like that one. That one where he looks really nasty. He has that sex look, folks. That come here, baby, and get me type of look. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Anyway, great book. This is one of my favorites out of all of the tour books. I'm not sure when this book came out, but here's another concert book. This one's a little more common. I think a lot of people have seen this one. It has many color pictures of Elvis, as you can see, including the famous Aloha from Hawaii shot. So we definitely know that this was from 1974, at least, because what was it? 73 was Aloha, so this is 74. Now, of course, here's Here's something that says Vegas on the inside. This could have very well been a concert tour book from Las Vegas. So this could have been a tour book, or it could have been from Vegas. Not really sure. Okay, so here's another one of those books, the 12 by 12 books. This one here is kind of a cool looking one. Got a great shot. That's actually Elvis wearing the peacock jumpsuit, which is a later jumpsuit, I believe. Anyway, this is similar to the other book I just showed you. It has great pictures in there. There's the Burning Love suit. And let's see if we find any other pictures in here that will give us an idea of when this came out. I don't see any Aloha from Hawaii shots in here. So I'm thinking maybe it did not, maybe this was before 73. I don't know. I don't see I don't see a date. But again, once again, here is another ad for the Hilton Hotel. I think these were probably available in Las Vegas as well as on tour. There's another book that came out, and this one looks very similar to that one. Again, now the back picture is the same. Let's see what we got inside here. Yep, there's that Burning Love shot again. And the reference. Oh, now this is a little different. Look at this. But here's a great picture of the hallway from the Hilton Hotel, where you can see all the dogs and the big banners, Elvis banners on the wall. Here's Elvis, and it says sold out. Concerts sold out all the way through 1973. So there you go, folks. We've probably got a date on this thing as being 73. I do remember this little one somewhere. I don't know if it was at the concert. Maybe it wasn't. But anyway, I thought it was amusing that they had a big one and they had a baby one. And let's see, does it have the same stuff? Yep. See, it has the little United States map. And let's see, does it have the... Yep. And there's the hallway of the dogs. Okay. So kind of cool. All right. These tour books, the ones with the stars, also happen to come in red. This came out in 1976, so it's an actual legitimate magazine that came out before Elvis died. It's all about Elvis, everything. And for some reason, they were sold in concerts. Now, the way you could tell is this little tag up here, which says Collector's Edition, $3. That's how you could tell. Now, the Tadler magazines that were sold at the newsstands did not have that red thing on top there. It's a great magazine. I mean, it's got tons of stuff about Elvis and his life, mostly black and white photos, but still a great magazine from 76. This was a souvenir 8x10 photo that was in the souvenir stands that you could buy. Okay, these are kind of hard to find now. They're pretty cool. It's a great shot of him, and it has the little thanks Elvis on it. And that's what they always did. Whenever there was a tour photo or a tour item, they would always have what they call a facsimile signature, so that that's how you could tell it was a tour item or something that was made by either Boxcar Enterprises, which was the Colonel's company, or it was done by RCA. There were other photos, like this souvenir tour photo here, which again, this is obviously from 74, because if you look on the back, you can see it says the tour, 74. You have this on the back of the photo, and then this on the front of the photo. And of course, if you know that jumpsuit, I'm pretty sure this is a Aloha from Hawaii shot, because they would have thousands of these items printed up and made, and then they would just take them out whenever Elvis went on tour. When they ran out, and maybe they got new ones, maybe they didn't. There's another one like this, but it has the Hilton logo on it. So I'm not showing you that one because I believe that one was specifically for Las Vegas. And even though this was considered a photo, it's also kind of like a mini poster. It's pretty big. when you think about it. But again, it has the the classic right here. Thanks, Elvis, down there at the bottom. All right. I remember this one very well. I bought this poster, I believe in '72. I'm pretty sure when I saw him at Chicago. I know I had this on my wall for years. So this one I remember very well. I bought this one. This one I remember getting too. This one is from, I bought this in, I think it was 76 or 77. Might have been 77. But this was, again, another really popular Elvis souvenir item. And the funny thing about this, the picture is actually from a series of photos when Elvis was trying on jumpsuits, and they were taking pictures of the jumpsuits. And the curtain behind him, I always thought it was kind of a weird thing when I first saw the picture, because there's this curtain behind him. That curtain is a curtain from one of the rooms, or his room, his suite at the hotel. That's where this photo came from. It came from that photo session. These are real cool. I'm showing you these because even though these were made specifically for his appearance in Las Vegas, they took these souvenir photos with them. So they did end up on tour. So what you're about to see, these photos were definitely Las Vegas souvenirs first, and then taken on tour with him. So here's one of them. This is a probably very popular picture. A lot of you might recognize because they used it quite a bit in promoting his concert tours and things like that. RCA did. Again, we have our little Elvis signature, which is right there. It says, "Thanks, Elvis." Okay. And then is the other one is this one, which is really cool. Beautiful picture here of Elvis. And I think that's from, I don't know. That suit, I think, is from 1970, February 1970, I think. Could be wrong. If you know, you could probably tell me yourselves. Just put it in the comments below. But anyway, here's another of those photos. So these two are the most common, and then there's two others that came out around the same time. I have a feeling that those two others were from Las Vegas, and they were less of them made. So because there weren't as many of them made, these were more common than the other two, and now it's kind of hard to find the other two. Getting to the posters, see now that, like I said, there's photos, and those are kind of like posters because they're kind of big. Okay, but here's this is definitely in the poster category. This was sold in concerts. Again, I know because I bought one. But here you go. This is a 3-page, kind of a trifold poster. Okay. So this is kind of like similar to that poster that went inside the 50 Gold Award hits, The Other Sides. You remember that, where they had the trifold poster, which was a painting of Elvis? You can't see it, but at the bottom, there is a little boxcar logo right here. I can zoom in, but it's right there where my finger is. But this is an example of the Colonel's Boxcar Enterprises. Then came the bigger posters, and I'm talking big. I mean, they make this one here look small. I think it's like 22 by 28 or something like that, but it's a fairly big size poster. I have one myself, which I'm going to show you a picture of right now, of Elvis in a blue jumpsuit. And it was a poster I got in 1972 when he was there in Chicago. And it's a beautiful poster. I have it hanging on my wall right now, but you're probably seeing a picture of it as I talk. And that was a great poster, but they had many more. There are so many of them, I can't even remember all. I would say there's got to be at least eight tour posters of that size. These two buttons were very, very common. Found at concerts all the time, and they were kind of close-up pictures of Elvis from different time periods. I think 72, 73, 74. When Elvis performed at Las Vegas, this is the button I just showed you, right? This is the most common. Then this is a Hilton button, and you can see there's a little H right down there where my finger's tapping. and that is a Hilton logo. Okay, now they would put those whenever Elvis performed at the Hilton or at the Sahara Tahoe. Sometimes they would put the logo of the hotel on there. Anytime you had anything with the Hilton logo or anything like that, definitely worth more money, more value than the other. This was one of my favorite buttons, and it came two ways. I remember this. I bought this myself. This is a cool button, a little bit bigger. And again, it has the Sincerely Elvis signature, facsimile signature on it. But what was cool about this button is it came in an even bigger size. And I don't have it with me, but I bought both sizes. One that's it's about this big. And it was like it had an easel. And you could sit it on your desk, which was pretty cool. But again, one of my favorite buttons, because I think it's one of the best pictures. This is a tab pin. This pin is made of metal. As you can see, it's just a piece of metal. And I guess they call it a tab pin because you would bend this piece up here, and then you put it on your coat or your shirt or whatever. And they had different ones. This one says, "I love Elvis," and it's gold. Then we have Elvis in person, okay, which is a white one. And then we have a yellow one that says, "Elvis, we love you." But the most notable ones that are cool are the ones of the Colonel. I don't know why they did it. I think I might have a couple pictures I'll be able to show you. As a matter of fact, I know I do. I'll show you the pictures. But there were Colonel tab pins. I don't remember them, and I don't think I would have bought them even if I saw them. But it was like a cartoon drawing of the Colonel and something he would say. You know what I mean? But anyway, I was only concerned with the Elvis ones. I don't know how these were sold, but this is an Elvis belt buckle. It says Elvis Presley on it, and you could tell that it's not one of those buttons, those buckles that came out after he died, because there were a lot of them. You remember those belt buckles that came out where it had the date when he was born, when he passed away. But you could tell by looking at this that this one just says Elvis, and it's a picture of him singing on the mic. Now, I remember, again, seeing these, but I didn't buy one at the souvenir stands in Chicago. Nonetheless, very cool collector's item. This is a Elvis mirror for the girls, for the ladies, and that's the picture right there. And then if you turn it over, it's a mirror. I'll see if I can find Carol. These are kind of cool. I mean, it wasn't, I didn't buy one, but I know girls were buying them. They were kind of cool because you got Elvis on one side and then you got your little mirror for your makeup or whatever. But these are not easy to find. For some reason, the mirrors, they didn't make as many of these. So they are definitely sought after as far as tour items go. So you might want to keep that in mind. This is really cool. I know for a fact that these were made in Las Vegas, okay? And this was actually sold in Vegas, but it was also on tour. I know for a fact. But it's basically just a keychain and a little picture of Elvis, says "Thanks, Elvis," and it's the famous Aloha from Hawaii shot where he's singing into the microphone. I don't remember seeing them, but I know that they were there based on other people who had purchased them and told me about it. Now this was not something that you could buy. These were passes that were used by people who worked on tour. So if you were a tour member or whatever you were, like a building, this one says building personnel. So if you were a building personnel, this is the badge you would get. And basically it's a sticky thing. It's like cloth and it's sticky. You just peel these things off on the back and then you would just stick it on your coat or on your shirt. Okay. So these are pretty cool. Okay. It says Elvis in concert. There were others too. As a matter of fact, there were many of these, so many different colors and things like that. It's hard to keep track of all of them. I know some of you collectors out there might have maybe every single one. Here's a couple more. This is This is a show member pass, okay? And then again, here's another building personnel pass. And again, it's one of those things with the back where you just tear off the back and it's sticky and it sticks there. So I don't know how many of these are. I've seen at least a good 12 different colors. And I don't remember. I know there's show members and personnel and all stuff like that. So these are really cool to have because this is really a piece of history. This, ladies and gentlemen, is an Elvis souvenir scarf. There's so much to talk about when it comes to these scarves, and I don't want to go into great detail here. But first of all, these scarves are the ones I'm holding, this one and this white one. I have a white one here as well, okay, that you can see that also says Elvis Presley on it. All right, these two here, okay, are basically, these were sold at concerts, and I remember seeing them. I did not buy one. I can't remember if because it was a little more money. I can't remember, but I do remember seeing one in 76 or 77 in Chicago. But here's the thing. There were several reproductions of these made. When Graceland first opened up and they had the shops across the street, you could go across the street and you would see a scarf and it would have the facsimile signature printed onto the scarf, okay? And you could buy them there for like $5, $10, something like that. So a lot of people got confused because sometimes some people would go, oh, I got a scarf from Las Vegas or I got a scarf from Elvis on Tour. Oh, yeah? Okay, well, how do you know? Well, it's got a signature. Well, there was a distinctive difference between this scarf and those scarves, and I'm going to show you the difference. Number one is the size. And I mean, this is number one. Because all of the ones that were reproduced were much smaller than the ones that were actually sold. So here, I'm opening it up. I'm going to show you. This is going to cover the whole screen. But here's halfway. Okay, you can see I'm at halfway right there, right? Okay, that's halfway, folks. Now, I'm going to open it all the way. Bye. And there's the whole scarf. I know the other ones that I've seen are much smaller than this. And of course, something has to do with the embroidery part, or the edging too. The edging is done a certain way where it's just basically folded over one way and then sewn down. So let's take a little tape measure here. That's 32. So I'm going to say 32 by 32, folks. The other ones are smaller. So this is a very, very big scarf. Did Elvis wear these scarves? I don't know. There's a lot of controversy about that. I've seen people say, well, yeah, Elvis used to wear them because the signature was on it and then he would throw them. Then I remember talking to Charlie Hodge about it a long time ago when I first met him. And we talked about the scarves because Charlie would always hand the scarves to Elvis. I remember Charlie Hodge saying that, no, the scarves on the stage were specially made for Elvis, and they were easier to throw. And if you'll notice, if you see the size of this does not look like, this looks a lot bigger than the one that Elvis just throws. When Elvis throws it, it looks like a pretty skinny scarf. Not saying that he did not wear one of these. Maybe he did. I don't know. But most likely, most of the time, he probably did not. These were sold as souvenirs, and keep a copy of this show in case you get a scarf and you want to check it out. You can always look at this footage and see if the scarf you're getting is the real McCoy or not. There were necklaces made back in the 50s that looked just like this, and you can tell because the picture is an early picture of Elvis, and then there's songs around there. I Want You, I Need You, I Love You, Don't Be Cruel, Hound Dog, and Heartbreak Hotel. So this has got to be past 56. It's got to be a souvenir that they had thought about or that they used back then. But for some reason, somebody said, hey, I got a great idea. Let's reproduce those necklaces and sell them in concerts. And that's what they did. This also came from the tours. But a lot of people didn't realize it because it almost looks like one of the things that came out after Elvis died. Because when Elvis died, there was this massive amount of trinkets and all kinds of things. But you could always tell that stuff was not, that was after death, because they always would put his birthday, the year he was born, 35 to 77. This was sold in concerts. How many? I don't know. But this one here is a gold medallion type necklace, and it has a picture of Elvis in the middle. It does say, I love Elvis, okay? I'm pretty sure I have a picture of this. I'll show you a close-up. But then on the back, they have that logo thing I told you about, Sincerely Elvis. So that's another way you could tell this was a legitimate thing. They would never have gone that far to put the signature, which they put on all the pictures and everything else that Boxcar made. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the very last souvenir item that was made for Elvis's concerts. Now, the interesting thing about this item is, number one, when this item was ordered, according to the records of Al Dvorin, they ordered these necklaces to begin selling them at that concert in Lexington, Kentucky, and they were going to be taking them to every single city after that. So this was a brand new souvenir item that had never been ever sold before at a concert. These items were then shipped to Chicago and were there in the warehouse, being ready and separated out to ship to the different venues that where Elvis was going to perform. Of course, Elvis passed away, and these necklaces ended up just sitting in Al Dvorin's inventory for all these years. These are 100% authentic. They were definitely going to be going to the concerts. The picture, if you look at it, is pretty much the same as the mirror. See, there's the mirror, ta-da, and then there's the necklace. So you're seeing it for the very first time here on the Collecting the King show. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the show. We will be doing another show on Elvis memorabilia from his concerts, but it'll be from the concerts in Las Vegas. Pieces of memorabilia like banners and things that hung in the lobby of the hotel when Elvis was there. Just different odds and ends of rare pieces of Las Vegas related memorabilia. And of course, the title of that one will be Viva Las Vegas, right? Okay, so a reminder, everything you saw on the show today is actually for sale through my business, Sounds Good Records, okay? All you have to do is email me at collectingtheking@gmail.com for pricing, shipping, and payment details on any of the items you just saw. If you contact me, I'll give you the price, let you know how to pay for it, and we'll talk about shipping and all that kind of detailed stuff that we can do that in private, okay? And we do sell some of this stuff in quantity. So if you're interested in buying more than one item, or, like a quantity of more, maybe 10 or more, that type of thing, depending on what it is, we do sell at a discount price depending on quantity. We also have over 1,000 Elvis 45s, LPs, CDs in stock, as well as RCA promotional items, sheet music, and more. Since we mostly did conventions, I'm sorry to say we don't have a list or a catalog available, which is why we encourage you to send inquiries and want lists. All right. If we don't have something you're looking for, we might even be able to find it for you. So remember, subscribe. Remember, subscribe to the channel. Okay? 3 times do it. As a matter of fact, do it 3 times. If you don't do it 3 times, get 3 friends to do it, okay? And have those 3 friends have another 3 friends, tell another 3 friends, and let's get these subscriptions up here, folks. I don't know where I'm at right now, but we need more. So get some subscriptions and punch that button and help us out. I will continue to try and answer all your emails and your comments that you send my way about the shows or about items or about Elvis or whatever it is, as much as I can, whenever time will allow. So keep that stuff coming in. I appreciate all the information that you also add to anything that we talked about in the show, so we all can share it with everybody else, okay? So again, thanks for watching the show, and I am out of here.